But we want to get to this big story. We have two big bills making their way through Congress right now and that are looking to ban free speech, take away your rights. So let's talk about them. The first, the largest one really is Senate Bill 686, which is known as the Restrict Act, the restricting of the emergency of security threats that risk information and communications technology, the Restrict Act. So this is a bill introduced in the Senate designed to ban the video sharing app TikTok, which would give the Biden administration like all sorts of authority. And not just the Biden administration, then any president after that, right? It would to crack down on transactions between people in the United States and countries deemed, quote, foreign adversaries. So any kind of transaction, it goes beyond just TikTok. It's being talked about as if it's TikTok, but it's way bigger than that. Related to information and communications technology. So that's the Restrict Act. It would authorize the Commerce Secretary to also, quote, review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries and for other purposes. Vague much?
Well, and when you say that, think about what we were just talking about yesterday, where they'll be able to shut off your finances. They will know that you're making those transactions. So it's like this is opening up exactly what we just talked about yesterday. It's like it's all falling into place.
Well, TikTok is not mentioned by name in this bill, in the Senate bill 686, but the introduction of it comes as Congress, of course, is looking to ban the app separately. Already, so they're kind of lumping these together, so we should have that distinction. And of course, the Chinese company ByteDance owns TikTok, and the idea is that, hey, since TikTok is Chinese owned, then therefore it's obligated to share user data with the Chinese government, and then that can be used as a spying tool. And I love that the United States government says this with a straight face. Like after what Edward Snowden uncovered about what the United States government...
It's just so rich.
Right. Like we're concerned about the Chinese government snooping on people who download TikTok, but you in the United States government through the NSA were literally listening in and eavesdropping on American citizens without their consent, not even through any app that they consented to. It's not like they downloaded the NSA app and they were using the NSA app that you were ripping off and see, right? They were doing it nefariously.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's almost like they're ignoring the Twitter files.
They absolutely are.
Yeah, it's
ignoring the Twitter files. They are trying very hard to ignore the Twitter files.
Well, what do you mean by that for those of our audience that might not understand the context here?
Well, they're watching what people do on social media. The Twitter files have told us that,
right.
And they're working to censor speech
right.
around the Twitter files. But that's less about spying as it is about tracking. But at the same time, I feel like anyone who's mentioned in the Twitter files, like, oh, we censored Christiane Northrup or whatever kind of actor, it must feel like, oh, government actors are watching me and,
right.
Watching my freedoms, and that must feel scary. I think it's important to wind back the clock just 2 years when President Trump had negotiated with TikTok to unload a portion of its ownership to a domestic country. TikTok said it was willing to do that. They had a deal with Oracle, I believe it was at the time, right? And they were about to do it, and Joe Biden shut that down when he took office. So this could have happened a long time ago. Congress didn't decide to take this seriously until it benefited them. And, at the time they just were like, this is Trump. He's going to be impeached. He's doing something to distract us. Forget this. We don't care. Oh, all of a sudden they care when they need anti-Chinese rhetoric.
So the FBI and the NSA have a backdoor access tool to Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and a lot of other U.S. tech firms, right? So the FBI and the NSA have a tool, a backdoor access platform to that access. How is this any different? And why have they not stopped this? But we're concerned about China and people using TikTok. And then, what does this portend for larger concerns, of course, around free speech, right? So that's where this second sort of more narrow bill comes into play, where we want to talk about that. This is the Senator Josh Hawley bill. This is called the No TikTok on United States Devices Act. The idea is that, TikTok in its terms of service says, we have access to everything on your device, which I don't understand how exactly that's possible, especially on Apple devices, which are sandboxed, meaning one app is not allowed to have access to other parts of the operating system. Like that's not allowed to happen. So I'm not exactly sure how that actually unfolds. We know that Facebook was doing the exact same thing, by the way. Facebook got in trouble by Apple because they were, David, maybe you remember this was about 3 years ago now. But Facebook got in trouble by Apple, and Apple actually threatened to take Facebook off the App Store when it was discovered that Facebook was like nefariously like patching in. People were wondering like why their battery was draining so much on their iPhones. It's because like Facebook was trying to tap into other parts of the software that they weren't allowed to by getting access to your contacts and certain other things. So I don't remember exactly, but I know that Facebook was doing this. Why don't we ban Facebook too?
Well, and that's the thing, like TikTok does the same thing. And like if you go into what TikTok actually gets access to, they're actually getting access to your camera, to your microphone and stuff like it is a lot further than a lot of these other things go. And it's like there's more detail behind what they're getting with those things. So it is a little bit more, but you're right. It was that's what Facebook was doing, was encroaching on the personal data that Apple says we protect that, and they were getting access to it.
So you opt in to use your camera. Like when you download TikTok, I mean, you have to give it access to your microphone. You have to give it access to your camera.
You do, but you're limited on what they can do with that. So
right.
so they went beyond the limits of what they're allowed to do with that, like turning it on themselves or whatever. Like there's other tracking things involved with TikTok that they get access to.
Yeah. So it was Oracle and Walmart just 2 years ago that had partnered up, made an offer for TikTok. It was preliminarily accepted. And this was already negotiated under President Trump. This could have been done already.
Right.
But the Biden administration decided it was unnecessarily until now.
Suddenly now it's a big concern because of China, right? Because we want to save. Again, this all comes back to the U.S. dollar. It all comes back to U.S. dollar reserve currency hegemony in the world. And we're using everything that we can right now. We're flying into Taiwan to stir up shit. We're sending ships to the South China Sea. We are doing everything we can right now to saber rattle against China. So let's just go into this Josh Hawley bill. This is the one that's really interesting here. This is the No TikTok on United States Devices Act. Well, not really any more interesting than 686. That's awful enough. But this one got into a heated debate last night on the floor of Congress. We want to bring it to you. So Senator Josh Hawley's bill would prohibit the app from being downloaded in the United States, and it would ban any commercial activity on TikTok with their parent company, ByteDance. And this legislation is much narrower, we should be clear, than the 686 Senate bill, the Restrict Act, which was first rolled out in the Senate. So here is Josh Hawley. I'm going to play first Josh Hawley's defense of this bill, and then I want to play Senator Rand Paul, who really, I think, dismantles and really shows you exactly what's at stake by censoring this app and free speech. Watch.
Senator from Missouri.
Madam President, let me just finish with this, that the Senator from Kentucky decried the collection of personal data by American social media companies, and he's right to do that, by the way. I'm concerned about that too, no doubt. But he pointed out that many American social media companies collect all of this information, that they do it without the user's consent. Sometimes they sell it to third parties for a profit, and you can't necessarily opt out of it. All fair enough, but he is protecting exactly what he decries. The difference is with TikTok, that information is going to a hostile foreign government. It's not a market, it's total control. So I would just say this to Americans out there who are using TikTok. Just know this, we need to tell you the truth about this app. Just know this, if you have it on your phone, it is tracking your keystrokes, it is tracking your movements, it is tracking your location, and it is sending that information, whether you want it sent or not, to Beijing, to the Communist Chinese Party, where it can be accessed by anybody there who wants it under China's national security laws. That is a threat to your personal security, and that is why we should act to ban it. Let me just finally ask Senator from Kentucky, he and I talked about this before, would the senator consider allowing us to set a roll call vote, an up or down roll call vote, not unanimous consent to pass, but to set a roll call vote at a time certain? Would the senator consent to that?
Madam President,
Senator from Kentucky.
reserving the right to object. I'm unlikely to take First Amendment advice from someone who believes that the First Amendment doesn't protect the Communist Party. You'll find no greater foe of communism, no greater critic. I've been a long-standing critic of, really the funding of research in Wuhan that led to the virus. And yet I still want to protect the basic Bill of Rights, the First Amendment that protects his speech, whether we like it or not. And if someone doesn't understand that communism actually is included under the First Amendment, that terrible speech that we object to is included under that, this is something we should be very wary of. We should beware of people who peddle fear. We should beware of people who peddle half-truths. Almost everything that's been said about collecting data is in all likelihood true. All the social media companies collect data. They devise algorithms. Some of the domestic ones have psychological experiments that might horrify you to see what they've got all the young kids thinking and doing and trying to get them to click on different pictures or trying to get them. This is a marketing stratagem, and they all do it. And they all want to make money, and they all want to get clicks. The difference is this. Many people on the right, in fact, some on the left, they are horrified by big tech in our country. They're consistent in being horrified by the abuses of big tech here and also TikTok. But look at their legislative proposals. Many of them would actually ban big tech here as well, or put it under the thumb of government, or set up government agencies or panels to determine what speech would be acceptable. And if you're not putting enough conservatives on there, by golly, we're going to have a government commission that's going to determine what kind of content gets on there. These are scary ideas. Don't succumb to fear. Don't give up our freedoms. Don't say that, oh my goodness, we're going to ban 150 million Americans. This isn't just about the company. This is about the rights of 150 million Americans to get their content. You're restricting what they can do, and you're restricting what they can use, all with innuendo. Everything that's been said about, oh, this is a channel and a funnel to the government. These are all to the Chinese government. These are all conjecture. These are all things they're saying happen. As far as the sale of the company, I don't think we should force them to sell, but I do believe in a heartbeat they could be sold. They're located in the Cayman Islands. They're incorporated in the Cayman Islands, and they could be sold at any minute. I don't think we should force them to sell. The majority of the shareholders are not Chinese. The two engineers that developed it are, but to say that the algorithm has to reside in China and is in one tiny place and isn't anywhere else is a simplistic notion of the way technology works. The company has bent over backwards to work with our government to try to set up something that would be reasonable, including more government oversight. So I, for one, will say that I will continue to defend the First Amendment, and those who believe that the First Amendment doesn't protect this speech are in the wrong, and they'll find that out when the Supreme Court rules on this. I object.
Objection is heard.
Madam President, I would just say,
So objection and blocking of this bill, and that seems like we'll see what happens here on both of these, right?
Now, he brings up the Supreme Court, and I wanted to bring up a case that's currently before the Supreme Court because I think this is interesting. Right now, in the case United States versus Hansen,
The band Hansen?
No. This
should take them
case
to court.
has asked whether a federal law that prohibits the act of encouraging or inducing unlawful immigration for private financial gain should be struck down as unconstitutional infringement of free speech. As in, is it my right to encourage illegal immigration? Like, if I write a book, let's say, that says, illegal immigration is great, more people should do it because then we have more of a stronger workforce or what have you. Is that my right to do under the First Amendment? Now, interestingly enough, we've seen all of this activity around people on the left and liberals saying that they don't want free speech because they find that it's dangerous around the pandemic, around the vaccine. They don't like free speech around gender ideology. They only don't like free speech when it's free speech that they want to protect. But here we see liberal justice, Sonia Sotomayor. I don't know, can I call her a liberal justice? I'm going to say she was appointed under Barack Obama. Yeah. She is generally considered liberal. And she does not seem quite open to overruling the law as an overbroad restriction that it violates free speech. Here's something she said in her question on the matter. She said, under this statute, we're criminalizing words related to immigration. And I thought there were only certain statutes that were immune to First Amendment challenges. Yeah, I have a cold. It's not.
Okay.
Words are not coming out.
I
quite as
picture that
nicely.
Seinfeld episode when Jerry and Kramer get into it, and he's like, "No,
I did say statute.
He's like, "It's a
It just
statue."
didn't come out.
Jerry's like, "It's a statute," and Kramer's like, "No, it's a statue."
My words are a little blunted. Excuse me. I am making the case that she thinks that it is dangerous to criminalize words. And that's not a position that's normally coming from the left these days. And I'm slightly surprised. She said, otherwise, everything else is subject to the First Amendment and strict scrutiny. So why should we uphold a statute, that time I didn't say it right, that criminalizes words? So this is a case to follow.
Well,
Shut up.
I'm kind of
You
like
shut
in
up.
the camp of like, these are government devices. And so like if the government is providing that device, just like me as I have Google admin or whatever, Google Suite, I can decide what apps go on anybody that uses my service to connect their phone. So I can decide what apps they can get or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. If the government is providing that phone, they should be able to decide what apps you're putting on it because those phones can get hacked. So I would vote for it in that case. But if it's a phone that they buy and they use for their personal selves, then I can understand the fight. But in my opinion, if it's just for government devices, I don't think that really falls under the same thing as free speech for us.
Yeah, and I cannot abide this timely caring about things when it's convenient and then not caring about them when it's not. There is no here question of like, oh, are we trying to protect people from, are we trying to protect children because of their self-confidence or anxiety or what have you? Like, that's not even a part of the conversation. It's just feels like it's a pawn in a game that Congress is trying to play.
But that's where
part of a bigger narrative.
But that's where it started. It started with, this is we can have that discussion about how damaging it is for kids to be sitting there just like getting these like little videos that
we can and should. And just today we saw Elon Musk adding his name to a document that's asking for computer science experts to put a 6-month pause on artificial intelligence research because he thinks we need to sit and think about what this technology is doing to us. That's an appropriate way to move forward, taking a pause to think about how this technology affects us. But that horse is out of the barn with TikTok a long time ago. The time to have done that has passed. And so the timing of this now is so transparent of who it benefits to talk about this right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep our eye on this.
The hold that those apps have on people, imagine if they just deleted TikTok, like kids' lives would explode. I mean, we would have this, all of a sudden, this huge influx of mental and social issues and everything if that app went away.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean? I mean, if their app, they live on that app. It's like you're taking that kid's home away from them. They would like freak. It would be crazy.
Can you, and Rand Paul makes the point like, oh my gosh, Republicans took away my TikTok.
Yeah.
And they would flip out.
Absolutely.
This might be the thing that they would vote for the very first time in their lives.
You want a civil war? There you go.
Yeah.
Take away their TikTok. They'd be forced to go back to Facebook. Can you imagine?
We'll get overrun by preteens.
Yes.
Exactly.
The countries of
You know that episode of South Park where they close the Denny's and all the old people die because they don't know how to eat? This would be like that, but for young people. They close the TikTok and they would all like melt. Like the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting.
What would kids do? I mean, it's crazy. It's an addiction.
Well, I don't know. I asked my daughter, who's 16, and she watches a lot of TikTok. And I was like, what would you do if they actually did shut down TikTok? She just was like, probably just use YouTube stories.
Yeah, my kids are like, I could use YouTube Shorts. You don't want me on TikTok? Then
yeah, I mean,
Shorts.
it really is a crazy addiction. I have to tell, I'm like, you realize what these companies are doing.
Yeah.
Right, with this like short form content and what they're trying to accomplish here. It's really,
Right.
Anyway, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Medcline. I have suffered from all sorts of shoulder pain, neck pain for years, and I've tried all manner of different pillows and sleeping positions on my back, my side, my stomach. Nothing worked for me. And then Medcline said, hey, we love Redacted. We would love to sponsor your show. We're going to send you one of our Medcline sleep systems. And I said, okay, I'll try it. I've tried everything else, and it was an absolute game changer for me. Sleeping has gotten rid of that shoulder pain. Now, by being able to put my arm through this like little hole, it's like a sleep I don't know, it's like a sleep cave. You put your arm through this thing, it's unbelievable. And then it takes all of the pressure off your upper body. And what's amazing is Medcline has been validated in 7 independent clinical trials as the most effective natural treatment for heartburn, regurgitation, many painful symptoms of GERD, all while you sleep. Medcline sleep systems are not simple like foam wedges. They are true medical devices, FDA registered, doctor recommended, and clinically proven to provide relief. The patented arm pocket allows for comfortable side sleeping the entire night. So the first night I got it, I woke up, I couldn't believe it. My shoulder pain was gone, and now I can't sleep without it. Natalie sleeps on the one side with hers, and she creates like a little sleep fortress, and she absolutely loves it. It's a game changer. So 93% of patients reported also a reduction in nighttime heartburn with the reflux relief system and an overall improvement in sleep quality. So whether you suffer from painful nighttime acid reflux, shoulder pain, or both, the Medcline patented pillow system is designed to cushion your body in a sleeping position that is supremely comfortable, doctor recommended, and clinically proven to provide effective natural acid reflux or shoulder pain relief and a better night's sleep. That's right. So right now, get 20% off. Try it, 20% off when you go to medcline.com/redacted. Get 20% off and a better night's sleep today at medcline.com/redacted. Again, 20% off, medcline.com/redacted.